The addition of raid armor modifiers has certainly made raiding in Destiny 2 a lot more interesting. And so today, I wanted to test out one of my favorite subclasses, a very underused, I believe, raiding subclass, the Sunbreaker Titan within the Eater of Worlds Raid Lair to see how it performs. What is up, guys? Rick Cacus here, and yes, we are taking a full fire team of Sunbreaker Titans through the Eater of Worlds. And guys, you're going to be surprised just how insane this subclass is. But first, we need to talk about exactly what raid perks we are utilizing for this run. So firstly, we have the helmet, and this is a potential one, but we have the helmet that will recharge your solar grenade upon using your super. We're going in as Sunbreakers, we're planning on using our supers. Being able to go grenade, super, and immediately follow it up with a grenade is quite powerful. Now again, I say this is optional because frankly you have quite a lot of hammer throwing time, and the grenades for your Sunbreaker Titan are not that amazing, especially if you are planning to use them for DPS. You pretty much have to use fusion grenades against, for example, Argos. Next up, we are using, and this is a lot more important, the Raid Gauntlets. This allows you to have the perk where getting a melee kill gives you 10 seconds of a 20% damage buff. Obviously, incredibly good, especially if you're planning on doing DPS stuff, which we are. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly, we have the Raid class item. This allows you to have the perk where all solar abilities deal 25% more damage. As you can imagine, with hammers, it's pretty fantastic. Now, the Eater of Worlds is certainly less substantial than the Leviathan Raid in terms of encounters, but I think it is still worth walking through all of them. So firstly and quickly, we do have the first semi-encounter where after you complete the jumping puzzle, you are going to have to kill quite a lot of enemies as they're coming out of dropships. And frankly, they're just prey to your hammers. Now, the unfortunate part is that using your hammers is going to cause them to recharge for actually quite a while. Now, Masterworks certainly helps this, but you will definitely have a lot of damage output. Then there's going to be a lot of just normally using guns and your power and whatever, and then maybe you can squeeze another hammers in near the end of this encounter. For this first encounter, the Sunbreaker gets an 8 out of 10. Now, as for what attunement I'm using with my hammers, it's the top tree, allowing enemies to explode when hit by them and causing your hammers to shatter into multiple explosions, which, as you can imagine, is pretty amazing for ad clearing in this first encounter and moving on into the second big encounter. So after a few more jumping puzzles, you're going to end up in the phase 1, I would say, of the Argos fight. This encounter only has one section, but it does have two different jobs. You are either gathering the craniums, charging them, and then taking them to shoot whatever the appropriate elemental mine is, or you are staking out your zone, killing every enemy you see. And I was the latter, and of course, hammers here is amazing. You're able to just pop hammers and slay out. The amount of enemies you can kill with a single super, with a single hammer throw, with that in mind, is huge. Like, you are just slaying so many Vex. Now, the problem is that they respawn just as fast as you slay them. But again, thankfully, with Masterwork weapons, you're able to get your hammer more often than you otherwise would. And of course, 25% more damage compared to when this Raid Lair first came out. And the fact that you can very easily melee kill a goblin and get 20% bonus damage, those buffs are certainly noticeable, and just the sheer amount of damage output you have is way higher. So in this encounter, undoubtedly, Sunbreaker was great. It did exactly what you want it to do, which is kill a lot of ads. So therefore, I'm going to rank it an 8 out of 10. And the reason it gets that ranking is that although it's very good, I'm not sure it's that much better than other roaming super subclasses. I'm thinking the Stormcaller Warlock. The output with that subclass in terms of its super is phenomenal, pulse grenades are phenomenal, So I'm not confident that Sunbreaker is that much better than other potential subclasses in this encounter, but it's still very, very good. But moving on, we have the real test of this subclass, and that is the Sunbreaker Titan versus the Argos encounter, the final boss encounter of the Eater of Worlds Raid Lair. Now, there are a couple of sections to this raid encounter, or a couple of subsections you could say. You identify which side the prism you're going to have to shoot from is on, then you all go to that side, hold out against some adds for a little bit, and then damage Argos. After that, you do have to damage his weak points, but usually that's done with guns rather than subclasses. The real test here is just how much damage your hammers can do against Argos himself. To find out, we did everyone's favorite subject, math. Now, we first used the top tree like we were already using, and here it seemed like hammers had a huge edge. You see, the Falcon's Rage perk of the top attunement makes your hammers hit the ground or hit an object and split into 3 more pieces and also explode. This basically turns each hammer into a cluster bomb per se, because all of those explosions are damaging a massive boss like Argos. So with just using the hammers, we were able to achieve over 600,000 damage on Argos, and you can see it's pretty darn consistent, with the one outlier lying in the 900,000 damage. This guy was basically just showing off and throwing grenades too, trying to make his damage look a little bit more than it should have. I know what he's doing, but seriously though, those are some pretty darn impressive damage numbers for a single super usage. I mean, even a Golden Gun with Celestial Nighthawk is only doing around 500,000 damage. Of course, it takes a lot less time. Now that's impressive, but is it the best option? We wanted to find out, so we switched to the different attunement, the bottom attunement, because I mean, it's the code of the Siegebreaker. You literally last way longer for utilizing your hammers as long as you're staying within your sunspot, and your hammer strikes are causing more sunspots on Argos, which should be doing more damage, right? Well, it turns out no, not at all. Ignore the part where I get caught by the prison like a complete dingus, even though I was behind the rock, I swear. But if you just look at the pure damage numbers we got at the end of this test, they're nowhere near. They're nowhere near the damage numbers we were getting for the top attunement. And it turns out that the sunspots apparently do no damage. Like, we were seeing no damage numbers appearing from that ability. So, of course, your damage is going to be way lower if the damage dealing tools that you have are not registering. So with the damage test over, we concluded very clearly that the top tree is the best tree for DPS. And so then we went to town. We wanted to see just how much damage we could do with Sunbreaker Titans on Argos. We were going to try to kill him. This also means activating any perks or abilities that give you an edge. So we made sure to melee a goblin before using our hammers, and after we utilized our hammers, we popped rally barricades, and remember, since you're a Titan, everyone gets that, and did the whole crouch, uncrouch, shoot as many rockets as you can. And as you can see, we just reduced Argos's health to less than 1/2. That's really, really good. Generally, you're aiming for 1/3. In fact, even really good groups will see 1/3 of his damage reduced and think, wow, this is a good run. So to do more than half of his health worth of damage, that's phenomenal. In fact, a 2-phase run is considered extremely good. So can we pull it off in the second phase? Well, as you can see, oh yes, we can. Using hammers again and just rockets as the only other damage dealing source, maybe some primary shots thrown in, we are able to take down Argos in 2 damage phases. That's incredible. And guess what? No one touched a cranium. Usually, you're using craniums all the time if you want maximum DPS. We didn't touch a single one and still 2-phased him. So what exactly does this mean? Well, it means that Hammer Titans with that top tree are absolutely phenomenal at damaging Argos. In fact, this may be one of the best subclasses, arguably the best subclasses to use within the Eater of Worlds Raid Lair. Now, it should be noted that it is technically possible to do more damage against Argus when using a Gunslinger with Celestial Nighthawk. If you have someone using a tether, you can use your Celestial Nighthawk more than once within a damage phase. In fact, the same could be possible for a Hammer Titan. With a ton of orbs generated by someone using the Orpheus rigs, as a Night Stalker, you could be using 2 hammers in a damage phase and do even more damage. But you have to look at the versatility of hammers compared to the versatility of a golden gun with Celestial. You get 1 shot with a golden gun, and you are not able to use that shot on anything other than the boss. But with hammers, you can throw several hammers at Argus. If you see a Minotaur coming to kill you, well, just throw a couple at him, go back to damaging Argus. That is a degree of versatility that Golden Gun with Celestial is certainly not offering. In fact, if you're leading new players through the raid, for example, a Celestial Golden Gun is the last thing you'd want those people to use. So having the Sunbreaker Titan do so much damage and also be so easy to use, so forgiving, so versatile, it's unbelievable. Argus encounter, 11 out of 10. I can't see it getting better than this. Yes, there are higher DPSs you can achieve with the Nighthawk, but for all the reasons we've talked about, the Sunbreaker, we've got to see more people using this. And if you're bringing new people through this Raid Lair, having them use Sunbreaker is a really good idea. And so that is it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed and found this informative. Now, if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. And if you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickKakis. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.